Hey, good evening, everyone. It is John C. Morley here, serial entrepreneur. Great to be with you tonight. It is a Monday evening. It is August 27th, 2023. Great to be with you tonight at 5 minutes to 11 here on a Sunday night in August. So thank you so much for coming back. If you're new here, well, grab that smartphone if you're watching us, please, and launch the camera app, point over the QR code, touch the yellow ellipse. You'll get my link tree just as easy as that. If you are not watching us, but you're listening to us only, go to believemeachieve.com for more of my amazing, inspiring creations. And before we get to the master topic, thank you so much for being here. Whether it is 11 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m., 3 p.m., 12 noon, 12 midnight, whenever you watch us, potato. Thanks so much for making inspiration for your life a daily part of your motivational diet. Let's get into it. Using robotic process automation to increase profits. Series 2 means we're in the second year. Show 35, episode number 2. So RPI is not new, and we've said this before, but the big challenge with RPI is maintenance. Training people to make sure that they know how to maintain. And by our, basic RPA, robotic process automation, it's not just robots. It could be software like bots, etc., but it's systems that are able to perform things quicker and more efficiently. So RPA is designed to increase speed to tasks performed. Problem is, a lot of people will not know how to do something first, and then they'll use RPA, and then they'll make it even worse because they just don't seem to get it. And so it's like if you do something wrong and you do it at one pace, but now let's say you do something wrong and now you speed that up, that's a problem, right? So now you've got more mistakes, more issues, all because you don't understand how to do something. And so it's one thing when, let's say you're using workers to, let's say, put parts together on an assembly line. But now you suddenly involve RPA, you start doing things with automated bots. Now you start having robots there. And now that process that's become a little bit, let's say, ajarred, is a million times worse because now the robots are doing it even faster. And the indecision that was there at the personal level is even worse at the robotic level because there's still the indecision of, well, what do we do next? What are we supposed to do? And if you don't know what you're supposed to do, how is it that the machine is supposed to know? Because remember, we have to know how to do something first ourselves. If we do, then and only then are we able to share that logic with systems so that machines can do the same thing, right? Now, it sounds like a very straightforward process, and it is. But like I said before, you've got to know how to do that task without automation. And I mean, do it flawlessly. If you can't, then I find there's going to be a challenge. That's a very, very, very big challenge. And I know that you, as a person, need to understand a process is not hard, but we first have to understand what a process is. And how do we do the process correctly? Because if we don't do it correctly, then we just have a bunch of ways that we're getting things done quicker, but we still have a lot of indecision. So RPA is supposed to be implemented so that we can increase speeds to tasks performed, support high flexibility. If the task we're doing doesn't work as our company evolves and grows, well, then that's not a very good way of using our infrastructure. Okay. I think a lot of people don't understand the maintenance for AI, or I should say for RPA. We're talking AI, but really RPA, or robotic process automation. AI can be tied to it, obviously. Support high flexibility. And how do we change the mindset over workers about RPA? How do we change the mindset of workers about RPA? Well, it's a slight challenge. And the reason I say it's a challenge is you have to make sure there is a program in place to explain why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to have everybody just jumping ship. So make sure you get your management as well as sub management and your employees buy in, or that could be a big problem. You have to get a buy in from management, both mid level and senior executives. This is always a problem. And so there are RPA champions. You want to make sure that you nurture them because they're the ones that are going to make sure this new culture gets implemented into your company. RPA doesn't have to be serious. Make it fun. One group had brown bag lunch and learns where you demonstrate what RPA can do for employees. Um, or another thing they do was they gave everyone a little grounding in the technology and challenged them to create their own bots. Or hold a contest for thinking of good RPA ideas and reward employees by allowing them to name their bots. The potentials are endless. You can deliver training and e-learning courses, and you can actually have people embrace this as something that they want to support because now they know that their head of training or their head of this, they got a job. And their whole fear factor was, am I going to get replaced? And no, you're not going to get replaced, but your job is going to change. So the reason why a lot of people get fired or they quit is because they don't embrace the RPA mindset. And if we don't embrace a mindset, how are we ever going to move the company forward? Now, uh, the best thing I can explain to you is many years ago, um, I had some relatives that, you know, were against having a computer on their desk. And they would always make excuses. And suddenly they retired. But it wasn't by their choice, it was by the company that said, hey, um, I don't think there's a place for you anymore. And so the thing you might be asking yourself is, hey, John, what maintenance jobs are there for RPA? Um, there are lots. You could be the one designing the RPAs. Um, you can talk about how they're going to integrate with other technology on your floor or in your company. People ask me, John, what kind of skills or experience do I need for a career in RPA? RPA requires a mix of skills. Smart roboticists need to have a variety of strengths across various engineering disciplines. And so, using the high level of programming, while this may lead you to assume the opposite, it's easier to learn that many programming languages are very easy. And some of them you can actually use a teaching pendant, or you can actually just move the robot in such a way so that it is getting the steps from that. Critical thinking and decision making skills, systems analysts and evaluation skills, otherwise known as system like thinking, having the programmer mindset and the ability to learn new programming languages, being keen to learn and acquire new skills, mathematics and logical science skills, a flair for communication, technology design skills, troubleshooting abilities, and of course, perseverance. An RPA job could be becoming an RPA developer. You could be somebody who works with your company or maybe helps work with the vendor. to get solutions onboarded for your company or to your clients. You could be an RPA solution architect designer. That's pretty cool, right? You could become an RPA analyst, somebody that analyzes what RPA functions are going to be used in conjunction with a business process. You could be an RPA project manager, and salaries for RPAs are 2 to 3 times greater than non-technical workers like administrators, clerks, and editors. Why? Because RPA is something that is going to fill up a big void. So we need to make sure we have people on board that are able to handle things like RPA, automation, also, robotic process automation as a service, right? We call it RPAAS, or a lot of people might just call it is robot process automation as a service. And it's the RAS model, RAAS, robotic as a service. And there are lots of benefits with this because the company doesn't have to pay for all the equipment. They get free support and they basically lease it. Now, IBM has spent a lot of time and money on RPA. And there's RPA and there's intelligent automation. RPA uses less coding, rapid cost savings, higher customer satisfaction, but we still have to get over the mindset of how do we get our current clients and our current management team to be okay with what it is that we're doing. Is it okay? Or is this a way that I could be out of a job? I think if people recognize the fact that RPA is coming in and we need to adjust to these new jobs, I think a lot of people will be smarter than that and prepare and say, hey, look, I know my job won't be here in another year, so I would like to become an RPA, or I'd like to become a this, or I'd like to become a that. And you're going to find that a lot of companies are going to embrace this. As long as you're going to embrace the technology and where it's going to go, I feel the possibilities for you as a leader in the RPA field, they're endless. They're endless. And you might be saying, hey, why? I think the biggest issue is that people expect things to just work, but they don't. And I'll tell you that this is not something that, you just think about and it just happens. There's a lot of work that has to go into RPA. We talked about RPA process design and so many other things, right? When you think about things like you remember Gilligan on what was it? The show Gilligan was on, the Island show. Gilligan and the professor on the island. What was the name of that show? I'm trying to. It'll come to me in a second. It was a show that there was all these things, and then they had the professor. It was Gilligan's Island. That's what it was. And so, something as simple as, how they did things back then. And Gilligan was always very funny. But what he said was very interesting. Like, he'd always have these jokes he's cracking, like, well, if you need me, just use the coconut phone. And, there you are on the beach. He's like, you just go use the phone and I'll pick it up. And the thing is, they were trying to do stuff with science back then. But the thing that always blew me away is how this show, how everyone was just so perfect with all their wardrobes and everything all off the ship that Soji had all these problems and had everything they needed to live. I mean, it was just like amazing. And but they got everything they needed, but they had no help to get off the island. Like this made no sense for me at all. And you might be saying, what the heck is this? And I think it's talking to something very cool, which is the fact that we need to be insatiably curious about things, not be intimidated about them, but also make sure that we understand the ramifications of what could be, what we need to guard against, as well as, is this the right choice for my business? Is this the right choice for my clients, my customers? So we're going to be answering a lot more of those questions later on the week. I am John C. Morley, serial entrepreneur. It has been an amazing privilege, a pleasure, and honor to be with you this fantastic evening. I hope you'll like, love, support the channel. Definitely comment below, tag your friends, colleagues, and associates, share this out with everyone you know on social media. Go ahead to BelievMeAchieve.com, click on Help Keep Our Content Free. Make the choice. Buy my team and I a cup of coffee, a bowl of fruit, or a scrumptious bowl of desserts. Either way, we'll be grateful with those pennies and dollars you invest into us. We'll put into new hardware, new technology, new equipment, new software, even new facilities to give you the most jaw-dropping, motivational content to empower you to have an amazing life. Can't wait to catch you guys on another show. In the meantime, do check out BelieveMeAchieve.com. Check out GFR, Genuine Food Reviews, where we have a full interview coming from Pizza HQ, interviewed by Orbital Media. And also there's some reels up there, so definitely check that out. And my new article is coming out in just a few days, so definitely stay tuned for that. And we'll catch you guys real soon, so be well.